In the late 12th century, a fraternity emerged in Aachen, formed by German merchants from Bremen and Lübeck, which laid the groundwork for what would later become the Teutonic Order. After taking over a hospital after the city's capture, this group initiated their mission to care for the sick, under the moniker of the Hospital of St. Mary of the German House in Jerusalem, receiving Pope Clement III's blessing. This order swiftly became influential, leveraging control over Aachen's port tolls, and eventually became more than just a hospital charity. Despite challenges, the order persisted, maintaining its historical motto, help, defend, and heal, and continuing its charitable events across all of Central Europe. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, it's good to meet you, and if you're coming back, it's great to see you again, and you already know who I am. If you'd like to support the channel, head on over to the Patreon, where all the videos are ad-free. Otherwise, if you enjoy the content, like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, without further ado, on to today's topic, the Teutonic Order, also known as the Teutonic Knights. In the midst of the 12th century, under Pope Calliston II's directive, the Knights Hospitalier took charge of a German hospital in Jerusalem, a sanctuary for the myriad of German pilgrims and crusaders unable to communicate in the local or Latin languages, as recounted by chronicler John de Press. This establishment, while operating under the Hospitallers, was decreed by the Pope to be led by Germans, planting the seeds for a German-led religious institution within the Kingdom of Jerusalem itself. Following Jerusalem's fall in 1187, merchants from Lübeck and Bremen were inspired to establish a field hospital during the siege of Aachen in 1190, laying the foundation for what would later be recognized by Pope Calliston II, in 1192, as the nucleus of a new order. Emulating the Knights Templar, this fledgling group evolved into a military order by 1198, with the head being designated as the Grand Master. Tasked with crusading to reclaim and protect Jerusalem for Christianity, this transformation marked the order's shift from a hospice for pilgrims to a martial organization, under the guidance of Grand Master Hermann von Salza from 1209 to 1239. The order had its established roots in Aachen, acquiring Montfort Castle in 1220 to safeguard the passage between Jerusalem and the Mediterranean. Montfort became the Grand Master's headquarters in 1229, though they eventually retreated to Aachen after the castle fell to Muslim forces in 1271. Their reach extended across the Holy Roman Empire, including modern-day Germany and Italy, as well as Francocratia and the Kingdom of Jerusalem, bolstered by many land donations. The relationship with Frederick II, the Holy Roman Emperor, significantly elevated the status of Grand Master Hermann von Salza, making him a prince of the empire and allowing him to engage with other high-ranking nobles as a peer. Von Salza played a notable role during Frederick's coronation as King of Jerusalem in 1225, accompanying the emperor and publicly reading his proclamation in French and German. Despite these achievements and their esteemed status, the Teutonic Knights never quite matched the influence of their counterparts, the Knights Templar and the Knights Hospitaller, at least in the Crusader states. In 1211, the arrival of the Teutonic Knights in Transylvania marked a pivotal moment, as King Andrew II of Hungary welcomed their assistance, offering them the district of Burzenland with unprecedented privileges, such as exemption from fees and the right to administer their own justice. This arrangement stemmed from Andrew's connections with the family of Hermann von Salza, through marital negotiations involving his own daughter and the Thuringian Landgrave's son. Under the leadership of a knight named Theodoric, or perhaps Dietrich, the order took on the mantle of protecting Hungary's southeastern frontier from the Cumans, constructing numerous forts and introducing German settlers among the existing Transylvanian Saxon community. Their aggressive expansion and fortification efforts, including the construction of stone castles by 1220, however, ignited envy and suspicion among the Hungarian nobility and clergy, who had been previously more or less indifferent to these lands. The return of King Andrew from the Fifth Crusade to a kingdom simmering with discontent over the campaign's costs and failures exacerbated tensions even further. Nobility pressure to retract the knight's privileges had led Andrew to reassess the initial agreement, although initially he stopped short of revoking their rights. Amidst the rising uncertainty about their future under Prince Bela's impending rule, the knights sought to place themselves directly under papal authority in 1224, a move that, unfortunately for them, backfired rather spectacularly. When King Andrew found out about this, he promptly expelled them from the country in 1225. While the ethnic German settlers brought by the order were allowed to stay, becoming part of the Transylvanian Saxons, Hungary was left vulnerable. You see, the expulsion of the knights, who had provided a robust military defense, left the region ill-prepared against the subsequent Cuman incursions, once again threatening the peace and security of the southeastern borders. In 1226, amidst the crusading zeal that swept through Western Europe, Duke Conrad I of Masovia, from northeastern Poland, sought the help of the Teutonic Knights to secure his borders against the pagan Baltic Old Prussians. He offered Kelmo land as a base for their operations, a proposal that Hermann von Salza, the Grand Master, saw as an opportunity to hone his knight's skills for future battles in the Holy Land, get a little bit of practice in before the real game begins. The Golden Bull of Rimini, issued by Emperor Frederick II, granted the order special imperial rights over Prussia, including that aforementioned Kelmo land under the guise of papal sovereignty. In a significant expansion of their influence, the knights absorbed the smaller order of Dobirzin in 1235, further cementing their presence in the region and somewhat bolstering their numbers. The campaign to subjugate Prussia unfolded over 50 years. marked by intense violence and resistance from native Prussians who fiercely opposed their conquerors, going as far to execute captured knights in very barbaric medieval rituals. We're talking public executions, racks ripped apart by horses, all manner of medieval imagination. Despite all of this brutality, the conquest eventually led to the formal submission of some Prussian nobles, who saw their privileges reaffirmed by the Treaty of Christberg. However, the repeated Prussian uprisings between 1260 and 83 resulted in the displacement or resettlement of much of the Prussian nobility, eroding the rights of free Prussians and leading to a gradual assimilation of the remaining nobles with the German settlers. This period also saw varying degrees of integration and resistance among the Prussian populace, with frontier regions experiencing more freedoms compared to the more settled areas. The imposition of Christianity, while officially aimed at integrating Prussian society into Western Christendom, was met with mixed responses. The local bishops resisted the incorporation of pagan practices into the new faith, whereas the Teutonic rulers found it easier to manage a populace that had the opportunity to retain some of its pagan traditions, albeit in a form that the Christians found a little more palatable. Look at Christmas, for example. Think of things like that. After decades of warfare, the legacy of the Teutonic Knights' conquest of Prussia was largely stripped of its native population, either through death or deportation, fundamentally altering the region's demographic and cultural landscape forever. In the wake of their military campaigns in Prussia, the Teutonic Order governed the region as a monastic state, enjoying a status akin to that of the Knights Hospitaller in Rhodes and Malta, under the dual auspices of papal and Holy Roman Imperial charters. This era saw Prussia become a bastion of the Order, as it sought to recover from the demographic devastations of plague and warfare that had decimated the native Prussian population. To replenish their numbers and bolster the region's development, the Order actively promoted immigration from across the Holy Roman Empire, drawing Germans, Flemish, and Dutch settlers, as well as from Masovia, bringing in Poles who would later be known as Masurians. This influx of settlers encompassed a broad social spectrum, including nobles, burghers, and peasants, facilitating a gradual assimilation of Germanization of the surviving Old Prussians. So, the landscape of Prussia was dramatically transformed by the Order's architectural endeavors as well, with the construction of numerous castles serving as military bastions to quell native uprisings and support the ongoing confrontations with neighboring realms, like the Grand Duchy of Lithuania and the Kingdom of Poland. These confrontations were a hallmark of the 14th and 15th centuries, punctuating the Order's tenure in the region with a series of military engagements. Furthermore, the establishment of major towns and cities on the ruins of former Prussian settlements marked the landscape with symbols of the Order's dominion and the new Christian order that they imposed. Among these new urban centers were Turin, Kelmo, Olsitzen, Elblag, and Klaipeda, and notably the more recognizable Königsberg, which was established in 1255 to honor King Otakar II of Bohemia, symbolizing the profound transformation and Christianization of the Prussian lands under the Teutonic Order's rule. Following the catastrophic defeat at the Battle of Saul, the Livonian Brothers of the Sword found themselves incorporated into the Teutonic Knights in 1237, henceforth known as the Livonian Order. This marked the beginning of a series of ambitious, yet ultimately challenging campaigns to extend their dominion. The Knights' aspiration towards Rus met a setback in 1242 at the Battle of the Ice, where they were defeated by Prince Alexander Nevsky of Novgorod. The ensuing years saw the Order's efforts refocused on the conquest of the Curonians and the Semigalians, though this was not without its own difficulties. In 1260, the Battle of Derbe saw the Knights suffer a defeat at the hands of the Samogitians, igniting widespread uprisings across Prussia and Livonia. It was not until the Siege of Königsberg from 1262 to 1265 that the tide finally began to turn, culminating in the subjugation of the Curonians in 1267 and the Semigalians in 1290. Moreover, a significant Estonian rebellion was quelled between 1343 and 1345, and in 1346 the Duchy of Estonia was acquired from Denmark, further expanding the Order's territory. You see, by now, the Order was getting quite powerful. More land means more power. And as with the Church, the knightly orders, the nobles, it always comes down to land. The fall of Acre in 1291 and subsequent expulsion from Hungary left the Teutonic Knights in search of a new focus for their crusading zeal. And eventually, they found one, a little more close by, in fact, a stone's throw away. They found a target for their cause in the pagan people of Lithuania. The region's resistance to Christianization, at least compared to the rest of Eastern Europe, presented a protracted challenge. Initially relocating their headquarters to Venice with ambitions to reclaim Outremer, the Order soon shifted focus to Marienburg, better positioning themselves for the conflict with Prussia. The prolonged pagan stance of Lithuania attracted knights from across Western Europe to join the seasonal campaigns, leading to notable victories such as the Battle of Strava in 1348 and the Battle of Rudau in 1370. The warfare between the Order and Lithuania was once again marked by extraordinary brutality, as was the style in the 14th century, with recorded instances of torture and ritualistic killings on both sides. The conflict deeply influenced the political landscape, fostering enduring rivalries and impacting the cultural psyche of the region. It was never really the same after these wars. This protracted struggle actually spanned the breadth of over 200 years, with the front line stretching along the Neman River, dotted with numerous forts and castles, encapsulating the enduring and bloody saga of the Teutonic Knights' campaigns in the Baltic. At the dawn of the 14th century, the Teutonic Knights found themselves embroiled in a conflict over Pomeralia's succession, a territory embattled by claims from the Margraves of Brandenburg and Duke Vladislav I, the elbow high of Poland, each bolstered by diverging historical ties and local support of nobility. The death of King Wenceslas of Poland in 1306 intensified these disputes, leading Brandenburg to seize much of Pomerania, leaving only Gdansk's citadel unoccupied. Unable to defend Gdansk, Vladislav sought the aid of the Teutonic Knights, led by Grand Master Siegfried von Furtwangen. My goodness, those German names. Please excuse my Polish and the German pronunciations. It's not what this channel is best at. In a significant turn of events, the knights under Prussian Landmaster Henrik von Plotzk expelled the Brandenburgers from Gdansk on September 1308, but then, controversially, retained control over the city. Reports of a massacre vary widely, with figures ranging from 60 to as many as 10,000 victims, reflecting the contentious and unresolved nature of the event. The subsequent Treaty of Soldin in 1309 saw the knights secure claims to Gdansk and other strategic locales from Brandenburg, solidifying their dominion and facilitating a crucial land bridge between their monastic state and the Holy Roman Empire, while concurrently serving Poland's Baltic access. This acquisition of Gdansk not only intensified the enmity between the knights and Poland, but it also signified a pivotal moment in the Order's history. Amid the persecution of the Knights Templar, which was really reaching a zenith at this point, the Teutonic Knights shifted their headquarters from Venice to Marienburg in 1309. They did this to attempt to safeguard their autonomy. Now, despite the growing papal scrutiny, the Order maintained its position and continued its campaigns against the pagans in Lithuania, now facing a vengeful Poland and ongoing legal scrutiny. The Treaty of Calitz in 1343 eventually managed to temper the conflict, with the knights ceding territories to Poland, but retaining Pomerania and Gdansk, thus preventing their strategic gains. This period also saw participation from the knights in the Battle of Legnica in 1241, alongside a contingent from the English Knights of St. Thomas, marking their involvement in the Mongol invasions of Poland. Despite the disastrous outcome for the combined Polish-German forces against the Mongols' superior tactics. Granted, many of these were tactics that the Mongols had been using in the East, and the Europeans had never really seen anything like it before. very difficult to deal with, very difficult to plan for a Mongol attack. But that's for the Mongol video. I'll do that one soon. In the mid-14th century, the Teutonic Knights were granted an ambitious mandate by Emperor Louis IV, which purportedly included the right to conquer all of Lithuania and Russia, signifying a dramatic expansion of their crusading frontier. Under the leadership of the new Grand Master Winrich von Niprod, 1351–82, the order ascended to the zenith of its power and, of course, the zenith of its influence, becoming a beacon for European crusaders and nobility seeking glory and spiritual redemption in the Northern Crusades. The strategic island of Gotland, plagued by piratical exploits of the Victual brothers, was ceded to the Teutonic Knights by King Albert of Sweden. This move, intended to eradicate the pirate threat, saw Grand Master Conrad von Jungingen successfully reclaim Gotland in 1398, securing the Baltic Sea for merchant traffic and further extending the order's influence. However, the politics of the time shifted dramatically in 1386 with the baptism and subsequent marriage of Grand Duke Jogaila of Lithuania to Queen Jadwiga of Poland, transforming him into King Vladislav II Jagiello of Poland and establishing a personal union that presented a formidable challenge to the Teutonic Knights. Initial attempts by the order to exploit divisions between Vladislav and his cousin Vytautas ultimately backfired, leading to a consolidation of opposition against them. Jogaila's conversion marked the beginning of Lithuania's official Christianization, undermining the crusading pretext under which the Teutonic Knights had justified their expansionist policies. Despite the nominal Christian status of both Prussia and Lithuania, hostilities with Poland and Lithuania persisted, fueled by territorial ambitions and deep-seated rivalries. Old memories certainly die hard. The creation of the Lizard Union in 1397 by Prussian nobles in Kelmoland underscored the growing internal dissent against the order's governance. By 1407, the Teutonic Order had reached the pinnacle of its territorial expansion, commanding a vast dominion that included Prussia, Pomerania, Samogotia, Gotland, also the Neumark and more, further consolidated by the pawn of Neumark from Brandenburg in 1402. This extensive realm underscored the order's significant, albeit contested, role in the medieval geopolitical theater of Northern Europe. The pivotal moment for the Teutonic Knights came in 1410 with the Battle of Grunwald, where a unified Polish-Lithuanian force under Vladislav II Jagiello and Vytautas delivered a crushing defeat to the order. This battle saw the fall of Grand Master Ulrich von Jungingen, along with the majority of the order's top officials, challenging the myth of their invincibility. Although the subsequent siege of Marienburg by the victorious Allies failed, largely due to the strategic defense led by Heinrich von Plauen, the first Peace of Thorn in 1411 allowed the order to maintain its territorial holdings, Nonetheless, the image of the order as a formidable force, a undefeatable band of warriors, well, that was significantly tarnished at this point. And once you've lost your reputation, it's very hard to get it back. In the aftermath, the Teutonic Order faced declining influence along with internal discord, exacerbated by the financial strain of a hefty indemnity imposed by Poland and Lithuania, leading to discontent among the cities over lack of representation. Heinrich von Plauen's attempts at authoritarian reforms eventually led to his ousting, with Michael Kuckmeister von Sternberg stepping in as the new Grand Master. Yet, he too struggled to reverse the Order's fortunes. The Golub War saw the Order cede small border areas and relinquish claims to Samogitia in the Treaty of Melno of 1422. This further ate away and diminished their power. Seems that it was all bad news at this point for the Teutonic Knights. Now, the Order's internal strife was mirrored by the broader situation and broader conflicts of the era, including feuds among knights from different regions and the destructive raids of the Hussites during the Hussite Wars. Despite attempts to repel these invasions, the knights were bested by the Bohemian infantry, highlighting their waning military capability. Further setbacks were encountered in the Polish-Teutonic War from 1431 to 1435, marking a period of sustained decline for the once mighty military order, as they grappled with both external pressures and internal fractures. The formation of the Polish Confederation in 1440 by the gentry and the burghers within the state of the Teutonic Order marked the beginning of significant political upheaval. By 1454, the dissatisfaction with the Order's rule had grown to such an extent that the Confederation began an open rebellion, seeking annexation by the Polish crown. King Casimir IV Jagiellon of Poland welcomed this appeal, formally incorporating the region and setting the stage for the 13 Years' War between the Order and Poland. This conflict saw Prussia ravaged and led to significant territorial and political losses for the Order. In an effort to fund their war efforts, the Order returned Neumark to Brandenburg in 1455, and subsequently lost control of Marienburg Castle, prompting a relocation of their headquarters to Königsberg. The second Peace of Thorn in 1466 decisively ended the war, with the Order ceding significant territories to Poland and agreeing to become a Polish fief, fundamentally altering its position in the region. From this point forward, Grand Masters were required to pledge allegiance to the Polish king, diminishing the Order's sovereignty. Effectively, at this point, they'd become agents of the Polish monarchy. The decline of the Teutonic Order's power in Prussia culminated in 1525 with Grand Master Albert of Brandenburg's conversion to Lutheranism. Secularization of the Order's Prussian holdings, and ultimately the acceptance of the Duchy of Prussia as a personal vassal of the Polish crown through Prussian homage. This event, right here, effectively ended the Order's rule over Prussian lands, though it had retained some territories within the Holy Roman Empire and Livonia, but these were very small territories, and they weren't going to hold them for very long. The subsequent German Peasants' War and the Livonian War further eroded the Order's holdings, with the Livonian branch seeing partition and secularization. Post-1525, the Order refocused on its possessions in the Holy Roman Empire, establishing a complex administrative structure centered in Bad Mergentheim. Despite these changes, the Order's loss of Prussia remained a significant reduction in its power and territorial control, shifting its role from a sovereign military entity to a more fragmented and largely ceremonial organization within the shifting landscape of early modern Europe. After Albert of Brandenburg's departure from the Teutonic Order to establish himself as the Duke of Prussia, Walter von Kronberg took up the mantle as Deutschmeister in 1527, ascending to Grand Master by 1530. His leadership marked a significant transitional period for the Order, notably recognized by Emperor Charles V, who amalgamated the roles of Deutschmeister and Grand Master into the title of Hoch- und Deutschmeister in 1531, elevating the position to the status of Prince of the Empire. This reorganization ushered in a new chapter for the Order, with its Grand Magistracy relocated to Mergentheim in Württemberg, an area that suffered quite a lot during the earlier German Peasants' War. The Order's commitment to the imperial cause, particularly its support for Charles V against the Schmalkaldic League, underscored its enduring martial spirit. Old habits were hard to shake. The Peace of Augsburg in 1555 marked a significant shift, allowing for Protestant membership while maintaining a predominantly Catholic composition, leading to a tri-denominational structure encompassing Catholic, Lutheran, and Reformed factions. This period also saw Grand Masters from notable German families, and after 1761, the House of Habsburg-Lorraine, managing the Order's extensive holdings and leveraging its military expertise in service to the Habsburg monarchy against the Ottoman Empire. The Order's storied military tradition faced its denouement in 1805 with the Peace of Pressburg's Article 12, which transitioned the German territories of the Knights into a hereditary domain under the prospective governance of the Habsburg prince. However, the provisions of Pressburg went unfulfilled by the Treaty of Schönbrunn in 1809, leading Napoleon Bonaparte to order the dissolution of the Knights' remaining territories, distributing them among his German allies by 1810. And this marked the definitive end of the Teutonic Knights' territorial sovereignty transitioning the order from a formidable military and monastic power into a chapter of European history shaped by centuries of crusade, conflict, and change. And with that, we reach the end of our video for this evening. I'd like to thank my Mega Chad tier patron, Stark Factory, for his generous contribution to the channel. Contributing to the Patreon keeps me going, so I can keep up this pace. It's quite motivating, you know. Also, I'd like to thank all of my viewers for joining me and watching, especially if you got this far. Your patience is a virtue. Well, if you've enjoyed the content, like, comment, subscribe, you know what to do. And I will see you in the next video. Good night, everyone. Take care of yourselves.